You won't believe what's legal again. What just happened will change everything for gun owners.
Some Americans with criminal convictions could soon be allowed to legally own guns. Let's see what you think about this story.
It's been a big month in the world of firearms, from major courtroom battles that could reshape gun laws nationwide to jaw dropping moments on the competition circuit. There's been no shortage of news every gun enthusiast should know. Some states are tightening the reins, others are opening the floodgates. And the feds? Well, there's been a major shakeup around a hotly debated trigger ban. So, what's really going on with the forced reset trigger reversal? And why are 15 states suing over it? And which new gun just became a must have for collectors? And why is everyone talking about it? Whether you're keeping an eye on new legislation, checking out the latest gear, or just here for the highlights, stick around. We've got you covered in this video. Forced reset trigger reversal. Starting with one of the biggest stories shaking up the firearms world this month, the Trump DOJ rare breed settlement is reversing the Biden-era ban on forced reset triggers.
Forced reset triggers, or FRTs, that have been seized by the ATF nationwide. The devices replace a standard trigger on a semi-automatic firearm and allow a shooter to fire continuously with one trigger pull.
On May 16, 2025, the Department of Justice agreed to settle with Rare Breed, undoing the Biden-era policy that had classified FRTs as machine guns under the National Firearms Act. As part of the deal, the ATF will return about 12,000 FRTs that were either seized or voluntarily surrendered. In return, Rare Breed agreed not to design FRTs for handguns and to stick to its patent restrictions. To rewind a bit, in March 2022, the ATF argued that certain forced reset triggers mimicked automatic fire and therefore qualified as machine guns. Rare Breed and other manufacturers pushed back hard, leading to a 2024 ruling from a federal judge in Texas that effectively froze enforcement. Now, under the Trump-era DOJ, the government has shifted course, calling the previous ban a violation of Second Amendment rights. But not everyone is on board. A coalition of 16 Democrat-led states, plus D.C., has filed a lawsuit in Maryland aiming to block the trigger returns. Their argument? That the reversal violates federal gun laws and poses a serious public safety risk. Attorneys general from states like New Jersey, Colorado, Illinois, and Maryland point to links between FRTs and violent incidents, noting that more than 100,000 of these triggers have entered the market in recent years. They're asking the courts to intervene and stop the handover while the case plays out. This legal battle marks a sharp turn in federal gun regulation. Under President Biden, the DOJ had leaned heavily into stricter enforcement, including tougher dealer inspections and a zero-tolerance policy rolled out earlier this year. But under Attorney General Bondi, that's all being rolled back, part of a broader shift toward deregulation. The long-term impact is still uncertain. Critics worry that reintroducing rapid-fire capable rifles could make it easier for criminals or gangs to misuse them, warn that law enforcement will be stretched thin trying to track them across state lines. Gun rights advocates, on the other hand, are calling the settlement a major win for legal gun owners and a step towards reining in ATF overreach. As the legal fight continues, all eyes are on the court and possibly Congress. While the FRT battle plays out, there's another major legal showdown underway, this time over high-capacity magazines and ghost gun kits. Let's take a look at how recent court rulings are redrawing the lines on age limits, magazine bans, and unserialized firearm parts. Landmark court decisions. Over the past few months, a series of major court decisions has quietly reshaped the legal landscape around firearms, impacting everything from magazine capacity and age restrictions to how the law defines homemade guns. Let's start with magazine bans. The U.S. Supreme Court recently declined to hear challenges to laws in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Rhode Island that prohibit magazines holding more than 10 rounds. That means these bans stay in place, and by refusing to step in, the court essentially gave them a green light. Residents in these areas will need to comply or risk penalties. A federal judge upheld the state's decision to raise the minimum age to purchase any firearm from 18 to 21. The ruling found the age limit reasonable, putting it on par with other regulated rights and responsibilities like alcohol and tobacco. Gun rights groups tried to challenge it on Second Amendment grounds. The court stood with the state legislature, saying they had the authority to set such restrictions. But perhaps the most impactful case so far is Bondi versus Vanderstock, a Supreme Court ruling on the legality of regulating DIY ghost gun kits. These kits, often sold online, let people assemble firearms at home using non-serialized parts. Critics argue they're nearly impossible to trace when used in crimes. In March of 2025, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 that the ATF's regulation requiring serial numbers, licenses, and background checks for these kits is lawful under the 1968 Gun Control Act.
Breaking news at the Supreme Court. The court upholding restrictions put in place by the Biden administration on so-called ghost guns. Those are kits that are used to make homemade weapons that are difficult to trace and have been used to get around background checks. They're often found online. They're easy to assemble. Now, this is a rare decision from this conservative Supreme Court upholding a tighter gun control law. Gun manufacturers had argued that the former president's team overstepped its regulatory powers. But this morning, the court said it had not. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett is with us on this. Laura, good morning.
Writing for the majority, Justice Gorsuch said that allowing untraceable guns goes against the entire purpose of that law, to make firearms traceable in criminal investigations. And it's not just theory. Early stats from cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Baltimore show a noticeable drop in ghost gun recoveries since the ATF rule took effect. While some lower courts had temporarily blocked the rule, the Supreme Court's decision overruled those injunctions, keeping the Biden-era restrictions in force. That means manufacturers must now follow stricter guidelines, and buyers face more hurdles to get these kits. Gun rights advocates say they're not done fighting the rule, but for now, it stands. With these legal shifts taking hold, states and local law enforcement are adjusting how they regulate and enforce gun laws on the ground. State-by-state spotlight and local enforcement. Across the country, states are taking matters into their own hands, especially as federal gun policies shift. From courtroom battles to rapid-fire legislation, local leaders are making it clear where they stand on gun regulation. In Illinois, Attorney General Kwame Raoul wasted no time responding to the federal settlement allowing forced reset triggers to be returned. Just weeks after the May 16th deal between the Trump DOJ and Rare Breed Triggers, Raoul joined 15 other attorneys general in filing a lawsuit on June 9th. His message was clear. Regardless of federal rollbacks, FRTs are still illegal under Illinois law. Down in Alabama, lawmakers are also cracking down, this time on Glock switches, small attachments that convert pistols into fully automatic weapons. In late March, a bipartisan bill made possession or sale of these devices a felony, with penalties reaching up to 10 years in prison and $15,000 in fines.
One Tennessee lawmaker wants to ban machine gun conversion kits in the state. Senator London Lamar filed a bill to ban the sale of Glock switches. And the Glock switch is a small mechanism that can turn a semi-automatic gun into a fully automatic weapon. You're seeing it right here. The bill calls for making it a felony to have or sell the kits in the state. Senator Lamar says the kits are already illegal, but they're not a state statute addressing the devices. There isn't one at
The push followed a tragic 2024 mass shooting in Birmingham involving one of these devices. Supporters say the law targets dangerous hardware without infringing on lawful gun ownership. With gun-related deaths in Alabama among the highest in the nation, 1,292 in 2023, lawmakers say the new law is about public safety, not politics. In Virginia, however, Governor Glenn Youngkin took a different approach. He vetoed a bill that would have expanded background checks and restricted certain firearms accessories, opting instead to maintain the state's current gun laws. His decision underscores a more cautious stance on adding new regulations. On the opposite end of the spectrum, South Dakota just broadened gun rights, now allowing concealed carry in bars.
A bill that passed through the South Dakota House and Senate would legalize carrying concealed firearms inside bars. The Argus Leader reports that lawmakers voted this week to amend House Bill 1218. The legislation would allow people to carry guns anywhere that earns more than half of its income from the sale of alcoholic beverages. The legislation now moves to Governor Roden's desk to be signed into law.
It's part of a growing trend in some states to roll back restrictions in the name of Second Amendment freedoms. Meanwhile, New York City is doubling down on enforcement. Since the start of 2025, the NYPD has seized more than 2,200 illegal firearms, part of a major push to cut gun violence. Officials say it's already making a difference, with early signs pointing to fewer shootings and homicides. Mayor Eric Adams has been vocal about linking these efforts to safer streets, using the numbers to show that targeted enforcement, along with community programs, can move the needle on gun violence. These examples show how states and cities are adapting to the ever-changing federal landscape. Illinois and Alabama are tightening restrictions on high-risk accessories. Virginia is holding the line. South Dakota is expanding gun rights. And New York is tackling the issue through aggressive policing. Each approach reflects local values and political dynamics, but all aim to shape how firearms are handled on the ground. After seeing how state and city governments are responding to evolving federal regulations, let's have a look at the firearms community itself. Take a look at the pulse-pounding action and standout performances in this season's competitive shooting circuit. This month's competitive shooting events delivered serious excitement, blending precision, high stakes, and rising young talent that's turning heads across the country. At the National Rifle and Pistol Championships in Talladega, Alabama, all eyes were on Gabriella Zeich, an up-and-coming star who absolutely dominated both the open and junior divisions. Her performance in the precision pistol matches was nothing short of outstanding, routinely scoring in the high 250s out of 300. But what really stood out was her clean sweep of the junior category, signaling she's a force to watch in future competitions. The event also featured junior trap and skeet matches for competitors aged 12 to 17. Many hit over 90% of their clay targets, showing that the next generation of shooters is already hitting elite levels. In Texas, the action kicked up a notch at the Dissident Arms Action Shotgun Championship, kicking off the 2025 USPSA Shotgun Series. This was no static range. Competitors were running, reloading, and engaging multiple targets under serious time pressure. The top shooters were clearing stages at nearly 85% success rates, and many wrapped up in under 30 seconds. Among them, 19-year-old Tyler Douglas made waves, matching the times of seasoned veterans and proving the future of competitive shotgun is already here. Meanwhile, Nebraska hosted the 4-H National Shooting Sports Championships, bringing together more than 500 young athletes from 38 states to compete in rifle, shotgun, and archery disciplines. The competition was fierce. Just look at the winning 4-H air rifle team, which averaged an incredible 590 out of 600 points. But it wasn't just about scores. The event emphasized education and safety, offering workshops on responsible firearm handling and strategy sessions led by experienced mentors, true to 4-H's mission of pairing skill with accountability. From Alabama to Texas to Nebraska, this month's events showcased both elite competition and the grassroots spirit of the shooting community. With stars like Gabriella Zeich and Griffin Lake lighting up the leaderboard and youth programs building a solid foundation, the future of the sport looks as bright as ever. And with the Bianchi Cup and the next USPSA rounds on the horizon, the competitive tension is only building. Veterans and newcomers alike will be aiming for glory and reshuffling the standings once again. We've covered the courtroom, the range, and the streets. Now it's time to explore the business side of the firearms world, from new gear and tech to what's trending among collectors and manufacturers. Manufacturers and collectibles, what's hot right now? There's a lot of buzz in the firearms world this month, from slick new rimfire pistols to looming legislation, and a hot collector's market that refuses to slow down. Let's start with a standout, the Ruger Mark IV 2245 Lite. This lightweight rimfire pistol is earning high praise from both casual shooters and serious enthusiasts. Recently featured in NRA Shooting Sports Journal, the 2245 Lite weighs just 25 ounces unloaded, making it a go-to option for training, plinking, and even small game hunting. Shooters love its 1911-style grip, low recoil, and ultra-easy takedown. The pistol comes in eye-catching finishes like black, gold, or champagne, and includes a threaded barrel for suppressor use, and retails for around $739 MSRP with two 10-round mags. Ruger nailed the balance between fun, function, and performance, and the market is taking notice. But while shooters enjoy their range time, the industry is keeping a close eye on Capitol Hill. At the end of April, Senator Adam Schiff introduced the Assault Weapons Ban of 2025, a sweeping proposal that echoes the 1994 ban but goes even further. Backed by 41 Senate Democrats, the bill would ban the sale, transfer, manufacturing, and import of military-style semi-automatics and high-capacity magazines. Unlike past efforts, this bill defines what's banned based on how the firearm functions, not just how it looks. Magazines over 15 rounds will not only be banned, but even existing ones couldn't be transferred. While the bill is currently stalled in committee and unlikely to pass without bipartisan support, it signals a real pressure point for the industry. Manufacturers are already bracing, reviewing compliance strategies, and watching hearings closely for signs of momentum. On the collector side, things are heating up too, especially around Glock switches and early Glock models. While genuine full auto conversion switches are now banned in most states and considered illegal under federal law, they've become rare and highly coveted in collector circles. Some early models and prototypes, especially factory originals, are seeing a spike in value. Discussions on forums like Glock Talk show how highly collectors prize early Glock pieces, and prices for used Glock 17s hover between $285 and $400 on the secondary market. Add a rare serial number or vintage accessory, and that value can rise sharply. Even though it's illegal to own or sell functioning switches in most jurisdictions, collectors are still seeking legal legacy-era items, reminding us that scarcity always drives demand. So what's your take on these wild developments in the firearms world? From court battles to championship-level trigger pulls, there's a lot going on. Which story grabbed your attention the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more updates like this one.